I've been thoughtin' and boughtin' since I was a young little thing, okay? Oh my god, it was the most intense thing that ever happened to me. My life is a chaotic madness. chaotic madness. Good bitches, it's your girl Sasha Raee here, back at it again with another episode of Chaotic Madness, and I have the lovely MelRose Michaels.
Hello.
Hey girl.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's only right. I mean, you did get me inspired to start a podcast, so.
Hopefully stay inspired. It's not easy.
Oh, I mean, it definitely not. If you guys could hear the 10-15 minute conversation we just had off camera, oh my goodness. It is a lot of work to run a podcast or any business for that matter, especially when you want to do things the right way and your limited resources and you don't know what the hell you're doing half the time, so you're just figuring it out as you go.
That's accurate.
Day by day. Well, I already know who you are, but let my 5 listeners know who you are.
It is my pleasure. So I'm MelRose Michaels. I'm an adult industry veteran for about 10 years now. And I got started doing live webcam, moved into the fan site paywall space and clips. And now I run a platform called sexworkceo.com, which is an educational resource for sex workers. And I'm very involved in sex work activism. And I have a clothing line for sex worker by sex workers called NETWORTHY.
And I'm wearing it right now. You know,
and it looks good.
Light promo.
I love it.
I mean, you can see me on the website too. I was a campaign model. Thank you very much.
She sure was.
I almost died.
Not tell our secrets. I did not feed my models, and it nearly cost me.
Listen, okay, being quarantined. Well, it's funny saying quarantine because in our profession we are quarantined
forever, all the time,
forever. So when the lockdown happened, it wasn't an adjustment where I have to now be home and not be able to go out or do anything. It was just the gym mainly for me. But I had not worked professionally in over a year and a half. And I thought my fat ass hadn't worked out, wasn't energetic. All she did was lay in bed, watch TV, and eat. Thought she could just hop right back in the game and be good.
We also got told that day. That was a lot harder than any of us expected, I think.
No water. We had no water. Not because she didn't give us... Let me clarify.
You're going to get me arrested for labor law practices. Thanks, girl.
It wasn't that she didn't give us water. It was
that the water was upstairs and there were stairs in the way of the water.
Yes. And we were just in the mode. We were just go, 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 go. And then we went out afterwards and then it was just no sleep. What's that TikTok where it's no sleep?
Tilly Toy just did
what
this.
I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
No sleep clap, new location. Yes. That was our life that weekend.
That was our life that weekend, and
it didn't help that you and Saint went hard on whatever alcoholic drinks at the Mexican restaurant the night before.
Well, I had 2, which is not.
That's a lot for me. It was emotional.
Okay, true. Oh my God! Listen. The amount of emotional conversations we had in a span of 3 days was more than Dr. Phil has had on an entire season.
That's true. We all left that weekend just best fucking friends.
Seriously, it was a lot.
I
don't even know how we got there and then ended up dead the next day. But no, honestly, it's just freaking Nashville weather. It just fucked me up. It's too much pollen. I'm a city girl. I have to get used to this
country
new life. Man, I am not a country girl. That's for damn sure. Do you have, what is it called? Cicadas?
Yes.
Like that bug? These motherfuckers are scary.
Like, so do you. You also have cicadas.
Yeah. No, yes. I didn't know that's what they were until recently. Because I was always like, what's that loud buzzing noise? Like, it's so loud. What is that? And then I found out that's what they were. And they're always flying near me. Always. Like, you see, my neighbors probably think I'm weird, but I will have my dogs and I will literally start booking. Like, nope.
I know they're supposed to, like, I think cicadas are the bug that are supposed to only come out every 17 years or something, but they're out every fucking year. So, I don't know.
Well, it's like there's a certain type of cicada that comes out every 10 years in certain areas.
Okay.
Our areas happen to be that area. And then they have a different species, and I could be wrong because I'm not like a bug professional or analyst. But then there's like a different species of it that is year round. I don't know. All I know is I don't like these bugs out here. There's all kind of bugs. I'm always wailing, moving. Something's always flying in my face.
It's the Wild West out here.
I need to go back to California. I always knew I was a city girl at heart. I always knew it.
That's so funny. I remember when I first moved down to Tennessee, that was like the biggest adjustment. Even when I came and looked at the property, I got, when I left, because the property was really overgrown when we saw it. So we're like walking through tall grass and all the wildlife. And when I got back to my hotel, I found 2 ticks on me, and I'd never had a tick before in my life. And I was like, nope, we're not living here. Like, nope, can't do it. Nope. And then we pulled the ticks off, and I was totally fine. It's such an adjustment. Like, it's stuff that you're not used to. So things are different.
You don't even know what a tick looks like when you're from the city. Like, so the fact that, like, I still don't think I know what a tick looks like, but I know I be pulling stuff off my body or my dogs. Yeah. Especially my dogs. Like, I can't even, like, and you about to be moving deeper into
the house
the country.
It's getting built. We're about halfway now. So me and my husband we're slowly building our dream house by hand. He's literally doing it himself, learning off YouTube. And we're building our house out of concrete because of all the tornadoes we get down here. So we'll have some peace of mind, and it's going to be our forever home. So, you know, one day we'll raise a family there and do all the things. And it's
all baby MelRoses.
All the baby MelRoses. We'll see. I would need some animals on this farm first, but yeah, no, it's exciting. It's cool to take something and turn it into something else. I think that's my favorite thing in life, is to create something out of nothing.
Which you do, because you always have something going on.
I do.
Always.
I got my hands in a lot of
different places. A lot of places you wouldn't think her hands are in. She just is everywhere.
I'm a little bit everywhere.
That's what I'm gonna say. A little bit everywhere. And I don't know how she sleeps.
I have a big team, you know that. I have a big, robust, awesome team of people around that support me, make it possible. That's like probably one of the best pieces of business advice someone ever gave me, was in order to like be really successful at more than one thing, or do a couple things really well, that you need help. And that was that was a scary jump for me, was hiring my first like real assistant, which would have been Saint, and having to actually pay someone else's salary. I mean, that's a lot of money out of your pocket and out of your bag that you worked really hard for. So that was really scary. But once I did it and saw how much more I could accomplish when the like nitty gritty stuff was off my plate, it was no brainer. And then rinse and repeat, you know, start another company, hire someone else, and do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, your current assistant, shout out to Selena. I love saying Selena because I always think of anything for Selena.
She's a monster. She's so good.
She is a beast. Like, this girl is on her shit. No questions, no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, she be on it. So, and she's also such a sweetheart. So sweet, so loving, so caring, so welcoming.
And also so savage. She tracked down my phone when I got drunk and lost it in Nashville. She tracked it to a different level of the club, found the girls, and got my phone back. Like, she's a boss.
They stole your phone?
No one stole from me. I left it at the bar because I was drunk. And some girls
is
took
this the night where you did the TikTok of hi, my name is Melrose, and I think Selena's gonna be the drunkest. And then, dude, that was the funniest because, okay, so for those of you who don't know, Mel does not really drink. She's not not really a social drinker. Like it's not her cup of tea. Mm-hmm. But if they're vibing and moving and grooving and the environment is right, you might be able to get her to start drinking. And once she starts drinking, you gotta just kind of keep feeding it to her. And she'll keep taking it.
Slow drip.
Just like slow baby sips, just kind of like, oh, let me just top her off so she doesn't realize she's out type of thing. And then if there's good music playing too, oh, she vibing out. She ain't even gonna realize she's drunk.
It's true.
But this particular video had me dead because your eyes were bloodshot red. You just looked like you were blacked out. Yeah. And Selena in the back was just
knocked out. Yep. It was funny. And you know what the best part about it was going out that weekend was for neither me or Selena. It was for my, friend Julie's birthday.
Sad part. That was the sad part.
It was great.
It was like a great night though.
It was. There's a photo of me from that night holding this super sweet homeless guy's sign for him trying to get money. And it was a tag team effort, and we did some work that night. We got him some food.
Did you do a real live show?
No, not like I was just holding his sign and trying to get people come over and donate to this man.
She's like, hi, I'm MelRose Michaels, and today this is a once-in-a-lifetime exclusive real life show.
No, like a good function.
Come here.
I was just like, hey, you have money. Come over here.
Oh, I wish I could have been there.
I wish I could have been there too.
Oh my goodness, that is hilarious. I can just totally picture you on the side of the street with a sign. Really trying to get people to give money too. And you're a very vocal, blunt person, so I can really see you being like, I know you got money, look at your car.
Yep. Yeah, that's accurate.
And then Selena there being the best PA ever is there probably like documenting like, yeah, I know
content,
the Rolex on.
This is content.
Oh my goodness. I love Selena.
She's the best.
I can't wait until like end of 2022 when she can like go out and wait. Would it be the end? Or would it be more so beginning 2023?
So she's due to have her baby in January.
January, okay, yeah.
Towards the end.
Yeah.
But she is going to come to some of the conventions in October with me, and she'll go to the ones, October. So we'll do Why Not Awards. She'll be there with me, and then Exotica, New Jersey, she'll be there with me because she lives out in that area.
Oh, yeah, Exotica, New Jersey. That's where we met last year.
I know. Are you going this year?
I wasn't planning on it, but I feel like we should. I feel like it should be like our anniversary.
It is, exactly. Yes.
And because it really is. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I had been a huge fan of Mel before I even knew of Mel. I knew her as Chastity.
Cringe.
That just Chastity Marlowe.
Formerly Chastity Marlowe. Marlowe spelled wrong on accident, by the way, because I didn't know how to spell it.
Yes, it was. I was like, oh, this is a unique way of spelling Marlowe. So I have followed her for a while, and then there's another fellow model in the industry, Sabrina Nelly, and she had posted your podcast on her Instagram story. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, wait, that's Chastity. So me being the stalker bitch that I am, I started listening to the podcast, but it turned out to be something that I actually really enjoy. And then I ended up literally out of the blue, not even supposed to have been at Exotica, New Jersey, and I saw that she was there. And my fangirl ass was like,
I was in a booth next to freaking Tiana Trump and Lena the Plug.
And
they had lines like wrapped around the convention waiting for them. And then she's little old me, no one to talk to.
She's literally looking for something behind the booth.
Water.
And I'm panicking. I'm like, oh my God, do I go up to her? Do I not go up to her? Oh, like, I don't want to be that weirdo. And I was like, you know what? fuck it, I'm gonna just do it. And I was like, excuse me, are you Melrose? And she was like, yeah. And then I was just like, I really love your podcast.
It was so cute.
Listen to my podcast. Oh my god.
Like, I didn't think anyone did.
She was like, wow. Oh my god. Here, let's take a photo. And I was like, oh my god, this is happening.
It's like, I need proof someone knows about my podcast.
Literally, that was like the spark of our friendship from there. It was just the most random, funniest thing ever. And I just happened to stumble upon and saw her there at the booth at the perfect time. And it was literally too like Red Sea spread apart where I walked through Tiana and Lena to get to her. Like I wasn't even
Pretty sure you're the only one in the history of humanity who's ever said I walked through Tiana and Lena to get to you. Like, that's never going to happen in any other circumstance. Nope.
Man. Yeah, so that's crazy. Damn.
That's been a while. 2 years.
That was 2019.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, that was 2019. Wow, 2 years already?
Mm-hmm. We're committed.
Time flies. Like, it doesn't feel like 2 years. That's really weird. Time really does fly. The concept of time always weirds me out. But I might have to go now. I don't know.
You should go.
I have to work. Because I'm a busy and booked bitch these days.
Don't I know
have to make it work So
you have to. It'll be fun. I know there's a few things going on in Exotica. I might have like a mini booth there for Sex Work CEO. I'm not sure yet. Or I'll hop on.
Oh.
I don't know, because it's not a B2B convention. It's for the fans more than for businesses.
Right.
So I don't know if it makes sense to. So I'm still kind of debating that. But I'll be there. I'll be doing something or another.
I mean, you can always incorporate NETWORTHY and Sex Work CEO somehow and make it sexy where it attracts the fans and gets their attention.
I was thinking about selling some of the NETWORTHY merch because that's a great place to sell to other models who probably don't know about the brand. But also it's like, do I want to haul all of that stuff to New Jersey? Because it's a lot of stuff.
I mean, we can make a road trip out of it.
To New Jersey. I was just there.
Yeah. It's not that far of a drive, especially if you have a tag team.
It was like 12 hours.
That's, girl, 12 hours is easy.
I just did it, though. I gotta do it again. I was just there for Selena's wedding.
True.
Oh, man. But yeah, maybe. We'll see.
12 hours ain't shit, okay? Well, we would have to take my car, because none of your cars will... Wait, did you take your car to New Jersey?
No, I rented a different sports car for New Jersey.
Sports car, and I'm over here talking about my Nissan Sentra. Like, yeah, let's just take mine.
You're probably a lot more reliable than any of mine.
That girl has taken me all across the country with no problems. Well, I take that back. She's been a little faulty lately. She's been a little unreliable. I don't know what's wrong with her. I take care of her. I've been feeding her. I just don't think she liked this new climate because
probably true.
She be giving me. Oh, that was the video I tried to send you.
Oh, really?
But I messed. Yes, it was literally. I was dripping wet, dripping from it being thunder. It was a really bad thunderstorm that day.
Okay.
My car stopped at a red light. Would not turn on.
Oh no.
Could not roll the windows down. I couldn't even put the car back in park. Nothing. And it was all because my battery, I changed my own battery for the first time in my entire life.
Atta girl.
I thought I did it right. Apparently
you left it loose on the terminal,
but I tightened it because I was really tightening it, but no, it came undone. And so I checked. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, let me check the battery and see if that's it. And the things were there. It was not popped off. Mm-hmm. And so at this point I'm panicking. I don't know what to do. I don't want to get electrocuted. So I'm like, do I open the hood? Do I touch the battery? The water is getting on. I don't really know much about cars in that degree, I learn as I go.
Mm-hmm.
And all these people are honking at me. All these cis white males are cursing me out.
Really?
Instead of saying, yes, it was the most, okay, I already get like really like anxious under pressure like that, especially when it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. I'm stuck. Oh my God, now I'm holding up people in the traffic.
Because you were at a light.
Rain.
You weren't like off to the side.
At a light.
That's okay.
No.
Okay.
I was, and the funny thing is, I drove my car all day. I was on the freeway. I was running errands, no problem. And I was literally, I don't know, like feet. I don't know, like 100 feet from where I was, but I was close, less than 30 seconds from my house. And I'm just sitting there waiting. And the funny thing is that the car in front of me took too long to go, so I missed the light. And if I would have just kept going, I probably would have made it home, and then it would have been perfect timing for it to like shut off on me. But I had to wait. Mm-hmm. So I'm waiting there, and all of a sudden I knew, because the sound went off and my music went off, and I said, oh shit, my car just shut down on me. Mm-hmm. And I panicked, and I was like, what do I do? So I was like, okay, check the battery. It has to be the battery. The battery is what runs the car. Put the hood up, pouring rain. Granted, I have on shorts and like a t-shirt. I'm on the phone trying to call like my mom. Like, what do I do? No one's answering. The battery looked fine. And I'm like, well, I just have to sit here. Like, there's nothing that I can do until I can get a hold of someone. Mm-hmm. So I even thought about calling you for a second, because I was like,
could have walked you through it. Yeah.
Yeah. So at this point, guys are coming by me. They're cursing me out. And I'm like, you can tell my car is off. There's no headlights. There's nothing. You can tell the car is off. So I'm opening the door, waving people to go around. Traffic's backed up. Guys are like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you dumb bitch? And like other horrible names. And then finally, after maybe 20 or 30, not 30 minutes, maybe like 20 minutes, a nice guy, he comes up to me, he goes, are you okay? And I was like, I think there's something wrong with my battery. I can't push it because I can't put it in neutral. So I'm just stuck here. And he's like, do you have anyone that's coming? And it's like, I'm trying to get a hold of someone, but right now I'm just stuck. So he pops up the hood, and then all of a sudden the freaking bolts are completely off and the cap is off. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And of course I did not have any tools in my car because I took them out the day before. So he's like, I have tools. He pushed it down and he said, see if it'll turn on. It turned on, and we pulled over to the side, and he like tightens it. And I just knew that this guy was like, this dumb bitch. She don't know what she...
Well, it's not just that, though. You wouldn't have the... I mean, you could have gotten home probably, but you wouldn't have the tools to tighten it anyway. It's just an unsafe thing to be in the middle of a fucking intersection, so...
Well, exactly. And then he had said something that really scared me. He said, you got really lucky. And I thought about it. I was on the freeway. And if my car would have just shut off on the freeway, I probably would have been dead, because the impact of my car just stopping and someone going 70, 75 miles per hour just skirting right into me. I was like, damn, you're right. Yeah. So this bitch, she ain't been right. She ain't been right.
No, I am. When I used to go dance way when I was young, I remember coming out of the nightclub, and I got in my car, and it was like this little tiny Kia Sophia stick shift thing. And I was driving home from Chicago to where I lived. It was about like a 45-minute drive every night, or every weekend night. So we leave the club around 4 a.m., driving home, and there's a stretch of road on 90 where there's no streetlights whatsoever. So I'm just driving. I got my headlights on, no big deal. And then probably within like a 50-foot ahead of me distance, I see a car parked in the fast lane with its tail lights off, everything turned off in the fast lane, which I'm in. And there's no other cars around me because it's 4 a.m. or whatever. So by the time I see it, I like, jerk the car right to swerve around it, because I'm going like 60, 70 at that time of night, because I'm going home. Yeah. And the highway's empty. And I remember, because this scarred me for life, someone's hands hit the side of my driver's side window as I went past, like slapped on it. And it was pitch black, so I could see their hands, but I couldn't see them because I just barely saw their car and I was flying. So I remember I started crying. I called the cops. I told them what mile marker I was at. I'm like, I think I may have hit someone. Like, someone touched my car as I drove past. Like, I'm terrified. And if I didn't kill someone, someone else will kill them because you cannot see them. Yeah. So they went and checked on it. Everything was fine. They were just broke down. I think they were trying to get me to stop.
Attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
That
you could have
ain't the
died.
way.
And I went home crying. I was probably 18 or 19 at the time. I crawled in bed with my mom, bawling my eyes out because I thought I murdered someone. And I didn't drive for weeks after that. I was terrified. Terrified.
It's traumatizing when your car fails on you, or you think that you might cause bodily harm like that to someone.
Yeah.
It's traumatizing. And then if you've been in a car accident before.
Yes, ma'am.
That makes it even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am terrified of truck drivers because I got in an accident by a truck driver, and I'm going to be a petty bitch one day, and I'm going to buy a Ford F-150 or 350 just so I can drive on the street and not give a fuck too. Because these truck drivers do not care. I get it. You run the streets. You do.
Especially in the South.
But
everyone's got a big truck in the South.
Everybody named Mama got a truck. Like, that's like a passageway. It's a weird thing. But yeah, you can get traumatized, and then that puts in paranoia, that puts in overthinking, and then it makes you a worse driver because now you're thinking too much into
out of fear,
which can also cause accidents too, because now you're thinking too much instead of naturally driving.
Absolutely. When I got in a really bad car accident in 2015 or 16, with my now husband. And that was one where the car rolled a few times and I broke my collarbone. We had to get out through the sunroof. And at the time I had just started seeing my husband, like not even dating, like a few weeks talking. And I'm like, oh great. Like I'm not about to cry in front of this man. So my shoulder is just like in so much pain. And he's asking if I want to go to the ambulance. I'm like, I don't want to pay for that taxi ride. So I'm just like trying to call my mom. I call my mom and I was like, I've been in an accident. And then my phone gets disconnected. And I was just like, fuck, she's going to be so pissed. I called her back, and I'm like, I'm okay, but I need you to come get me. You need to take me to the hospital. So she like came on the other side of the highway, got me. He put me in the car, and he's like, I'll meet you at the hospital. I was like, no, you won't, because I'm not gonna let you. But okay. So he like closes the door. As soon as he closed the door, I just started bawling my eyes out. I was in so much pain. And then took me to the hospital, and he met me at the house afterwards and whatnot. I just thought, like, I'm not expecting this guy that I barely know to like take care of me from this. Like, we're barely talking. But he did. He stuck by my side, and you know, broken birds can't fly. So we always blame the car accident for how he got to keep me. But I get what you're saying about the anxiety, because that accident changed my life. It changed the way, like, I'm obsessed with cars. Anyone that knows me knows, like, I'm a car girl. I love cars. I'm an enthusiast. I go to car shows.
Like a real car girl, too, not someone like me that tries to fit in and look cute. And like, yeah, I'm into cars. No, she's a real car guru.
Yeah, I help my husband fix our cars. He buys and sells and flips cars. So, but yeah, no, ever since that accident, like, I've had an extreme fear of loss. My anxiety was at an all-time high. Like, I got help. I saw a therapist. It really changed my frame of mind about life and death. When the car was about to flip over, I was texting my mom I loved her because I thought I was going to die. Like, I really thought, okay, this is how it goes. So yeah, I get the aftermath of it, because like now if I'm in a car, if someone else is driving, I am extremely uncomfortable. I am extremely like high anxiety, so much paranoia. But if I'm driving and I feel like I'm in control, I'm much more at ease. So it's just tough.
Yeah. Yeah, especially, were you driving or was he driving?
No, my husband's brother was driving. No, my husband was driving. So we were in an SUV, and we had a trailer on the SUV hauling another SUV. And then there was a malfunction with the trailer brakes, which made the trailer start to sway, and then it dragged us into a ditch. And then the trailer rolled and our car rolled.
So this was a freak accident.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't because someone...
No, and that's the craziest thing. We always talk about that. Is because this was the one time in my life where literally no one was doing anything wrong. We had the best day. It was beautiful out, sunny, great weather, no wind. We were all off of our phones because we were having a conversation. And then the radio was even off. And we were doing under the speed limit because we had the trailer.
So this was the start of a horror movie.
Yeah, exactly. This was
Resident Evil. Usually how it starts.
Yeah.
Yes. Or The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
Literally how all horror movies always start.
Yep.
And not to sound racist, but you got a car full of white people going
Accurate.
down.
Accurate.
There's no radio on. There's no phones out. You guys are actually having a conversation, and then out of nowhere, intro the climax. Like, that's literally the start of a horror.
Yep.
All you needed was some weird, sketchy guy with like a chainsaw to come out of the woods.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all need help out here?
Yep, with his weird mask. It would have been perfect.
Yes. And then you would have been like, yeah, actually, we just got in an accident. Well, I got a phone over here.
Yeah.
My house down the way.
Just
Well,
follow
shit,
me.
come on. Like, okay, come on, babe. We're going to follow him. See, because if I would have been there, I'd be like, y'all could go.
Leave me
I
here.
ain't going.
Yeah.
Because I'd be the first one to die anyways. So
This is no, it was a freak accident. It's super weird. But you know, I ended up with my husband and we have a beautiful life now. So no complaints overall. But yeah, broken collarbone was the least amount of fun.
yeah, I can't even imagine. Oh, and then you didn't cry. Maybe you were in just a lot of because you cried as soon
I
as
cried
he
as
was
soon
there.
as he was out of sight. I fucking bawled.
You were just trying to be like,
yeah, I'm tough.
I'm tough. I'm okay.
I need you.
Like, wow, this date's going so well.
I was really trying to hold off and showing my crazy just a little longer.
Just a little longer. This is a little too early than I anticipated, but here we are.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Speaking of crazy, what's like the craziest thing you've ever done in like your relationship? And I mean like toxic crazy, like have you ever broken windows? Have you ever scratched his car? Have you ever...
I mean, me and my husband have a super healthy relationship, so I don't got anything juicy with him. But one of my exes, I mean, I've spoken about this very publicly because the world should know how bad a person he is.
This guy.
My ex, who he was terminally ill. He had cancer, and I kind of rearranged my life to make sure that I could accommodate the time that he had left and all of these things. So like I broke my lease. He asked me to move in with him very early into the relationship, like probably 8 months or so, which early for me. And so I had to break my lease to move in with him, and it cost me like just under around $4,000 to break my lease. And then within a week of living together, found out he was cheating on me like the entire time with multiple women because all the evidence was there. So like I started slowly moving out of the house to avoid the confrontation. I just didn't feel like I owed him any sort of closure. I just wanted to like be gone one day because that's how little respect he had for me. And that's the little respect I felt like showing back. But I was trying to keep it together because for the week that I was like secretly moving out, you know, I'm going through the motions like, hi, honey, goodbye, honey, mwah, whatever. And it was disgusting and brutal. And then at the last day, I just lost my shit and I couldn't do it. And then it was just like all bets were off and it was just all petty. So like he, when I confronted him about what he had done, he like ran downstairs and like started breaking my stuff. And it was just so toxic. And I hadn't had that kind of experience with him before because we hadn't had any altercations really. So I was just like, okay, so this is what I'm dealing with. Like one, it's not safe. And two, like, all bets are like, okay, this is the level it's at, this is the level it's at. So then I just got petty. So like I put child locks on the TV. I put child locks on all the things because they were my things. And why should you get to use my things when you don't have any kind of respect for me? I changed the Wi-Fi name to say his first and last name Cheats so that all of our neighbors knew. I was just, all the things. Yeah, so probably that was the craziest thing I had done. Is I just wanted everyone to know what a piece of shit he is. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's my
You're
crazy.
the type of person that'll be like, nah, I'm taking the washer and dryer with me. I'm taking the refrigerator out with me.
Actually, it's funny you say that because I had at that time was when I found out I was diagnosed with PCOS and there's medication for me in our fridge at that house. And he was so petty. Also, so was I, but he was petty where he put a physical chain through the fridge so that I couldn't get my medication out when I was moving out on the last day. So like my family was there, like helping me load the moving truck with the furniture and whatever. So my fucking cousin, he's such a boss. He goes over the fridge and lifts the doors off the hinges, puts them on the side. And then he takes the case of beer that my ex had and hands it out to all of my family members. They all drink it, fill it back up with water, put the cap back on, put it back in the fridge. I got my medicine and then he put the doors back on with the chain intact. It was such a boss move.
Oh,
so boss.
My goodness. Okay, this sounds okay. Obviously, I know you could go to jail for this. I'm pretty sure I think you could go to jail for this. But I would have pissed in those bottles and then put the top back on and then put them in the fridge. But I'm sure that like that's bodily harm.
Yeah, probably
in a way. So don't come for me. I've never done that. I mean, it would be a little difficult for me to pee in a bottle.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just if you could even accomplish that as a feat.
Yeah.
No, I'm just happy that I know after a long day of the not exhausting job he had, he came home to a bottle of water instead of a bottle of beer. And
yeah.
That was enough for me.
And was probably confused. Like, why does this taste like water? She couldn't have gotten in here. The lock is still there.
There is nothing I cannot do with the right motivation, I assure you.
Man. But I don't really think that's toxic. That's just like
it's just
petty.
me being petty. It was we were at the point where I'm like, okay, if we're gonna go out like this, like, all right, we're gonna go out like this, I'm gonna have some fun along the way. So.
Yeah, definitely. That's crazy. I never thought taking off the refrigerator hinge.
I didn't know you could do that. I had no idea.
That's like me neither. Let me check my refrigerator just in case one day. One day I might need to have that skill useful in my life. That would be, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of, I'm a toxic person, but I'm working on it. Like, I'm working very hard.
We're all in
not
progress.
To be toxic.
We're all in progress.
I used to be proud of some of the things that I did. Like, I used to think it was cute, but now I look back at it and I'm like, bitch, you were the reason. You were the problem. You are the issue because that shit is not cute.
That's all in growing up, though. That's what happens. You grow up, you look back.
But
like
some people don't grow up.
That's true.
That's the thing. Some people don't grow up, or some people get worse as they grow up because they don't have like that guidance
or that moral compass
or whatever. That moral. So that moment where you realize, oh, this isn't right.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be doing this. Some people just get more fucked up and worse, and then you're just like, you're a lost cause. I can't help you. There's no way. Just sitting there thinking about how you guys filled it up with water and put it back.
Oh, to be a fly on that wall would have been amazing.
Oh my gosh, I just can't. How did you guys get the top to get back on though?
He just smashed. My cousin's a beast. Like he's a big dude, so he just fucking smashed him back on and off to the race. I didn't even have a beer. I don't drink beer, but it was great to have everyone I cared about just enjoying the fruits of his labor.
As you're there packing up all your shit. That sucks because, well, maybe he just felt like since he was terminally ill, like, fuck it. Who cares about anyone? Because I ain't gonna be here.
Well, that's that was actually part of what I thought was like, because that was a big part of what he would say to these women. So he would like reach out to women on this app called Meetup, where you could like find people with similar interests and like do activities with them. Well, it's not a dating app in and of itself, but it's like if you like bicycling, you go and join a bicycle group and you meet people that bicycle. It's something like that. So he was in this app and private messaging, like there was just women on women saying like, look, I have cancer, like I'm only here for a good time, do you want to meet up, like playing the cancer card repeatedly. Wow. And I was just like, that's incredible to me to think that you're sick, and instead of wanting to do something meaningful with the time you have left, you'd rather just do this. And I'm like, okay, well, like, more power to you. But I'm not going to stick around for that. He should have
just been honest. He should have just said, hey, listen, I appreciate you moving in to help me and all through this time so I'm not alone, but I'm going to die soon. So I want to be able to fuck around and not have any strings attached.
Yeah.
That would have been a different conversation because then you could have been like, well, maybe.
Yeah.
I might.
Well, the thing is, I was not like in a hurry to be in that relationship either. And I don't know if that's because I knew he was sick. Like I kind of had one foot out the door because I knew what this would be long term.
Yeah. Exactly.
It just is what it is. So I don't know, maybe I was a little detached in general with this situation, but like because you're dating someone who you know is terminally ill, it reframes the way you treat them inside of a relationship. Like I didn't bring up small things that bothered me because in the context of life or death, these things don't matter. And like what matters is spending the time you have with that person, to a level of quality while you have it. So like every little thing that bothered me, I didn't talk about it and bring it out. And it wasn't like I was bottling it inside. It was a genuine, like, I'm letting go of this because it doesn't matter. In the big picture, it doesn't matter. So like it was a good exercise in teaching yourself how to truly love someone unconditionally in a very pure way, which was nice. And I think, and immediately after him, I started seeing my husband actually. So it kind of,
it worked out.
It did. It worked out great, but it put me in the right state of mind to treat someone and love someone the right way entirely, if that makes sense.
But does anyone truly know how to love someone the right way? Because everyone perceives love completely different.
I mean, depending on your love language, like I feel like that's it's a complicated question, but I think loving someone to the fullest of my ability is what it taught me. Like to not get hung up on the small stuff, to not get jealous, to not go down these other tangents that are so, you're not, in 5 years, you're not going to remember these things. So why are you emphasizing or needing to talk about them or make a huge, ordeal about them? It was a big lesson in how to only focus on what's important, I guess. And that can get lost in the day-to-day in normal relationships.
I can see that. I feel like love language is a huge thing that people don't incorporate into their relationships as much as they should. And I think when you have two people that have two separate different type of love languages, it's about learning how to navigate where both parties are feeling equally loved without feeling forced to change who they are to make that person feel loved. So I think just love in general is a very complex thing that it takes work. It takes something you have to work at every single day.
Absolutely.
That's at least how I feel. I feel like when
it's a choice, someone, I think, like how you're saying work. It's a choice. You wake up and choose to love this person despite everything else. It's a choice.
Yes. And then it's about learning how to love someone unconditionally too. And a lot of people think that they love someone unconditionally.
But really, they love them within all of the conditions.
Within all the conditions. Exactly. Yeah. And you think like, oh, I love you unconditionally with my whole heart and my soul to the moon and back. And it may be true, but it's conditionally. Like there is a difference.
And I love to bring that up in the context of cheating, because everyone is like, I love you unconditional unless you cheat on me. That's conditional.
Exactly. That's conditional.
Yeah. I mean, and that's to each their own, whatever their boundaries are. It's a different conversation, but that's still a condition. That's conditional.
Exactly. Oh, I love you unconditionally, but if you started to gain weight and you were 500, 600 pounds, then I can't. Like there's conditions. Mm-hmm. So, cause I used to tell people all the time, oh, I love you unconditionally. I love you with my whole heart and soul. And it's true, but I didn't realize that the things that could be deal breakers for me are considered conditions, and that's not loving someone unconditionally. And it sounds like, damn, well then you don't love that person then. Like how can you want to spend the rest of your life with them? Right, exactly. It's just love. I feel like love is I think it's the most complex emotion that a human can have. And I say that because love can come in so many different forms that I think it's something that is more easily misjudged and assumed to be for love when it could be lust.
Yeah.
Or it can go into trauma bonding.
True. Where
you think it's love only because of what trauma that you may have unresolved is now triggering you to think that this is what. See, I can go too deep and complex.
No, that's true though. I think the way you grow up experiencing love plays a major part in how you go and love other people. And everyone has to kind of do their own work on that. But when you talk about like unconditional versus conditional love, like your love for the family that you stick by you and you see on the holiday, like your core family, even if they're not blood related, like that's your unconditional love. Or your pet is an unconditional love. Like whatever they do, whatever shit they fuck up, you're still gonna love them. You're not gonna treat them badly or take like steps for recourse. But then when it comes to relationships, sometimes we throw those rules out the window, which is hard because you also need to demand your boundaries be respected and all of these things. So maybe relationship love isn't truly unconditional. I think that it just depends where you're at with someone, but that's a hard thing to achieve anyway.
It is. And it's funny that you mentioned pets because I think the only unconditional love that I have is probably for my dogs because they can do, I mean, they have done, like my dog just the other day pissed on my goddamn bed, like just straight up jumped on there and peed on it. Granted, he is a little stressed due to his current situations, but I would never just get rid of them because, wow, you're peeing everywhere or you bark all the time or you're just, sometimes you're annoying or sometimes I'm like, man, I should have never got y'all. Like my life would be so much easier. But I love them no matter what they do versus with humans, even family, like I have conditions. I have literally stopped talking to family members because of the shit they have done. Yeah. And I used to think, oh, I love my family unconditionally. Or I love my mom unconditionally. Nah, that bitch has done some shit sometimes where I'm like, there's conditions there for sure. And yes, I do call my mom a bitch. I call everyone in my life a bitch. Like, not to disrespect anyone.
No, me and my mom, like, she's one of my best friends, but we've never fought. Like, we've never had any kind of conflict through my childhood or anything. We've always been really close. But then we had one issue come up in my adulthood where we were getting real close to some we can't turn back from this moments. And that's probably where I started to realize, okay, this is an unconditional thing. And no matter how hard it gets or the things I don't like or the things I don't agree with, this is my mom, she's in her 50s now, and I'm not going to waste my time with someone I care this much about arguing or vote like that. I think that's what that one relationship taught me is like to look at the finite time we have and value it differently than I would have had I not dated him. So even though the relationship was a shit show, it taught me a lot, and I think I'm better for it. And the people I love are loved by me better for having gone through that.
Gotcha. Do you have like a attachment personality? Like, do you feel like you get attached to people really easily, or do you think it's actually the opposite?
I think it's very hard for me to get attached to someone. But then once I am, I'm like loyal to a fault. I can't tell you how many times like I've been taken advantage of, or I've stayed loyal to someone longer than I should have when they didn't have any of my interests in mind. So while it takes me longer to get attached to someone, it takes me a long time to also get unattached or leave when I know better than to stick around. So a little bit of that, I think. And
is that with like friendships and relationships, or do you kind of have a different
I think it's
approach?
With friendships, relationships, and even business, I would say.
Even with business. Yeah. Interesting. How do you get attached with business? Like, what do you mean by that?
Like, I like to dive in, like, head first whenever I'm doing something, So I'm all about it. I'm going to put my all into it. You're going to see it on all my platforms. I'm going to be the person that represents that thing because I believe in it so strongly and I'm so passionate about it. But also, I know when I see a window to end certain business relationships and then I don't take it out of loyalty and respect for, what that relationship has gotten me, even after I should have left. And so while it takes me longer to trust any kind of relationship, business, personal relationship, like romantic, friendship, whatever, once I establish trust, and I think that it's a good thing for me, for them, for everyone involved, then I'm loyal to fault, and I'll overstay my welcome in the sense of like, this is no longer serving me and I should have bounced. So.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I can kind of see that from you, as far as the business wise, because you definitely should have left a few situations a lot earlier than you did. And then even like now you still almost protect them in a way where you truly don't need to or have to. So I can definitely see that. But I think that's just more so of knowing not to burn bridges, because you just, especially with business connects, it's one of my biggest things is you never want to burn a bridge with someone, because you never know who they may be connected to and what opportunities you could potentially lose just because of the way you went about things.
Yeah. Burning bridges is a big no-no. And even though like with like the business relationships I've had where I do feel like I overstayed or I should have left sooner, or even relationships that were established, like for me and Saint, for example, like him being my personal assistant and even being my friend, like I told him when I hired him, like, this isn't going to work for very long because you need to be doing what I'm doing. You're not someone's second. Like, you are an influencer. You're like your own kind of icon and mogul. And this relationship will come to an end at a certain point. And even though it did end when we got to that point and it was amicable and everything's good. And I mean, obviously, you know, me and Saint are super close.
Yeah.
So,
you just saw him. I just saw him.
Like, yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
I texted him this morning a purse and I was like, you need this. But even that, like that relationship, working relationship should have ended even before I ended it. Just because it wasn't, it was getting to a place where I know what I was expecting wasn't getting met, but also his heart wasn't in it anymore because he needed to be pursuing his own thing. And I also felt guilt around, you know, making demands of him for my stuff when I know he needs to be pursuing his own thing, like, because he's my friend and that's what he should be doing. And so it's in my nature to overstay something because I'm loyal and also because I want it to work out the way I imagined it, maybe, but it's not always the case. So I think I've learned a lot from the business and personal relationships I've been in, though, and I think I know a little bit better now. And I tried to always not burn bridges, but I don't forget the things said to me. And if you say something that you are going to regret, or if you say something out of, you know, anger to me, or even in, like, personal relationships as well, like, you can't unsay it. So whether I'm not burning bridges, it doesn't mean that in the future, when maybe we enter a relationship, business or otherwise, that I'm going to have forgotten what was said to me. Like, that's a no. Yeah. And our going forward relationship will be a reflection of how we treated each other when we were ending our previous relationship. So I don't know. We'll see where things lay, but I'm big on not burning bridges. I'm hard to get attached, but once I am attached, I'm hard to let go. It's just my nature.
I feel that. Well, I'm glad we met when we met, because if I would have met you a few years prior, I'd be trigger happy. Like, when someone hurts me, I have to make them feel what I'm feeling times 10, because I'm I radiate emotions and it's magnified for me. So when someone, especially someone that I confide in, like, there's a very select few that I'll talk about, like my finances, if I'm in any relationships, if my mental health, if I'm like depressed, like just whatever it is a very, very small amount of people, because I used to be such an open person where I'll just like, yeah, I'm an open book. If I can help someone through the experiences I've gone through, sure, why not? But there used to be a point in time where I would be trigger happy and I would hit low blows. Like I would push certain buttons purposely just to get a reaction out of that person. And then later on, when I'm calm, collected, and cool down, like I'll say, I apologize. Like I didn't truly mean what I said. I was just angry. But knowing that you may accept the apology, but will never forget what I said. There's a reason why you meet people at a certain time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because
for sure,
this would not work like 5 years ago, for sure. So
yeah.
And with age comes with growth, and
yeah.
You learn from yourself and you learn what works. I mean, there's like certain people I'll purposely push buttons for just to literally get a reaction out of. But
I'm more of like,
it's like maybe
I want to like get revenge with success or get revenge with happiness. Like I want you to know, no matter how I feel about what you said or did to me, like it's not fazing me. I've moved on and I'm doing better for it. And I think even the fuck ups, like in relationships, business or otherwise, like whatever the thing is, there's still something to be learned there. Like I'm still learning. And I also am a big proponent of like, let people show you who they are. So like, let them say what they're going to say, let them do what they're going to do, and how you're going to also show them who you are. So in your actions and in your words, make sure what you're doing is representative of the person you think of yourself to be. So like, yeah, I'm big on like, especially in business, I'm very rational, I'm very cool, calm and collected. Like personal relationships, romantic and friendships, it's pretty much the same. Unless there was some kind of extreme circumstance, then I'll lose my shit maybe with my husband. But outside of that, like I always keep calm and collected because that's just who I am. And I want people to have that vision of me, even when shit is not so smooth, you know?
Damn, you're a better person than me.
I've had a lot of therapy.
I'm like, I can learn a thing or two from this girl because
let me save you some money, hon.
Listen, therapy, it scares me only because I truly feel like if I were to really embrace it to get the best like effectiveness out of it, that I would have to be able to really talk and indulge about how I'm feeling in that. And sometimes I know that's the way that my brain works at times. It may seem like I'm trying to harm myself, but that's not the case at all. But I'm always afraid because legally they have to, if they feel like you're going to harm yourself or harm someone else, legally they have to report that. And if I just talk about like, yeah, you know, like sometimes I just wake up thinking like today's going to be the day that I end it all. I'm not actually going to do that. It's just the way that my brain sometimes is just wired. And so that is what prevents me from wanting to ever really dive into therapy, because I don't want to end up 5150 and fucking locked up in a mental institution.
Well, first off, as someone with mental illness in her family, with a grandparent who has had to go to mental institutions on and off throughout her life, it is not easy to get someone locked up. It takes extraordinary circumstances, like extraordinary ones. So don't worry about that. And also, if you lead with that, like if you go into therapy and say like, I want to speak openly, but I'm afraid of X, Y, and Z, because if I say something, I don't want you to think it's it's going to actually happen, or whatever the scenario is. If you lead with that, like they'll be understanding of it, and they'll get to know how you communicate, and then that won't be a factor. But I think therapy is like, man, that saved my life.
Yeah. Therapy is also really expensive too. It's not as affordable or, easy to kind of get involved in with, unfortunately. But that's just the American healthcare system, unfortunately. Yeah. And two, I don't know, it's just the thought of someone judging you or only pretending to care because they're getting paid. Like, it's almost like the sincerity of it, I feel like, that's what also turns me off. I don't know, it's just really weird, but I've become more reserved about being open with who I am as a person than I was when I was younger, because it's just almost like you just get a lot of, at least for myself, backlash, and it's never really been like a good response, or I don't feel like it's helping anyone by me saying this is what I'm going through, but this is how I get through it. And if I'm ever going to speak upon something, my goal is to always make for sure at least it can help save one person's life or help inspire one person. But I don't know. Therapy is complex, and I mean, it sounds good, but then
yeah, you have to definitely get matched with the right person. Because I went through a few therapists before I found one that actually I felt like genuinely helped me. And a big piece of that was the sex work piece, because like as soon as I say, at the time I was just a cam girl, but explaining that I do webcam and yeah, I get naked online and whatever, it was automatically like, well, why would you do that? Why do you feel a need? I'm like, I don't feel a need to do that. I've had plenty of jobs. I have other things going on. It's just that why wouldn't I do it? Like it's good money. I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. I feel no shame or guilt attached to what I'm doing. So why wouldn't I? Like that is not the issue. And when they try to make that the whole issue, that means it's not going to work for me. But I mean, Pineapple Support's a great tool because they're pro sex work or sex work friendly, or they understand sex work. So that's a good one for anyone that's listening.
Yeah. shout out to Pineapple Support. There'll be a link in the bio as well. And maybe I should have put a disclaimer because this could be triggering for some people. I'm not trying to go too deep into it, but I know that it can be surface level and that could still be triggering for people. So there'll definitely be a disclaimer as well in the bio, because if you need any assistance, phone lines, hotlines, there's always, whether even if you're not in the sex work industry, there's always help made available to you. So even though I don't take my own advice,
even though you don't
utilize my resources, I do not. I feel like I'm the biggest hypocrite in the world. I will sit there and preach to someone and do the exact opposite of what I preach.
That's human nature.
Jeez. I will sit there and be like, listen, you need to be very good with your finances and you need to set yourself up for this. And if you're going to do a business, you got to do it like this. You got to be consistent. And then when it comes to me, I'm just like, huh?
I know the feeling.
What? No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Running your businesses, okay, I know they're not easy, but you make them seem so seamless.
I have a team. That's all I can say. I have a team that does that. Thank God.
Listen, honestly, having a team, I see it with you is definitely beneficial. Someone like myself who does not have a team, but is very creative and always has a new project or attempting a new project and trying to do it all on their own, it is very, very difficult. So I would say if you do have an entrepreneur mindset or a creative personality, just make for sure that you're taking care of yourself and that you're planning things, because it is doable. It's just harder, but it is very doable.
It's doable. And I would also add, like, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, even with you talking about like all the things I do, there's a handful of things that I'm doing and they're a priority to me and I'm doing them well. But then there's like my original podcast, Teen Not Heard, went like a year without a new episode. And so it was on the back burner.
I know.
But also you prioritize the things that pay you or that pay your bills and keep your lights on or that help more people than you. Like, I want to help other sex workers. And although my podcast had benefits to it, it was also like, it was aimless and directionless, and it was just me talking and telling my story, which it was a therapeutic thing for me to put it out there. And it was good to have people get to know me better and understand my narrative, but it wasn't a priority. And also, like, when something becomes work and it's not fun anymore, that's when I try to tell myself, like, it's okay to let this go, because life is short, and in the scheme of things, you should be doing the things that are fulfilling to you and bring you the most value. And at certain times of my life, my podcast just wasn't that. Other things were more important. It was more important to do Sex Work CEO. It was more important to do NETWORTHY. It was more important to make the switch and get on OnlyFans. It was more important to do other things and make other moves. So some things fall by the wayside, and I'm the hypocrite, because I tell everyone, like, it's not a failure just because you decided to no longer pursue it. Sometimes the best business move you can make is to no longer pursue something.
Interesting.
I mean, think about all the things we invest, have like in this. I know we talked about your podcast before we went live on here, but that aside, like all the things that I had, ventures I had started, if I had doubled down and tried to make them work without, in that moment when maybe it would have been successful, maybe it wouldn't have, I have no way of knowing. All I know is that 5 years down the road, the things I'm doing now are so much more important to me and fulfilling to me than those things I left behind. And if I had doubled down on them, I would have never got to this. So it's like all of those things are stepping stones to the path you're supposed to be on. So like starting my podcast and getting that experience and talking to people I talked to, like I talked to some amazing people. I had you on, I had Katie Hill, former Congresswoman. I had all these cool people come through. But had I never learned how to do a podcast by trial and error, gotten to know people who randomly listen to my podcast, so like those are benefits. But then if I doubled down on that, I wouldn't be, about to start a new podcast with Jesse Sage with, a lot more caliber guests in something that we're going to put out a lot better information that's going to make more of an impact than my stories. So like, it's a stepping stone along the way. And sometimes the best move you can do for your business is by not pursuing a certain business. It's
But
true.
how do you know when that certain business is then no longer going to better serve you
when it
because
doesn't
you don't
make
really
sense.
know something.
You know, like I debate all the time
Yeah.
if NetWorthy is worth pursuing. I'm very passionate about it. I love
Really?
it. I do, yeah, because it doesn't make any money. So it costs me a lot of money. I donate some of the proceeds, so there's even less room for margin.
Right.
It takes up space. It takes up time. I have to market it. So I'm managing socials. I'm managing a website. I'm paying all this upkeep. I pay for marketing. I have an email person that does my email campaigns. So it's very cost heavy. There's no return on investment. There's no return on my time, but it still fulfills me and it's so important to me. So if that last piece goes, I know it's time to move on. And if that last piece doesn't go, okay, maybe it's back burner for now, but I come back to it and I double down later. But there's a time and place for things. And maybe there's going to be a better way of me pursuing it. Maybe instead of doing it how I did it originally by get everything, from Spain, and it's like a 4-month wait before from a design gets sent to them to the time the design gets to me. Maybe I pivot and maybe it becomes print on demand and I can put up designs instantly, sell them instantly, and pivot and make a new design. Maybe that's the direction I end up going in. But it's that you have to account for all the things. Is it worth your time? Is it making you money? Is it making you happy? And if those things are all no, then you move on.
I mean, that makes sense, but so for myself, whenever I start a project, I'm not going to sit there and say that money is never a big influence in it because, I mean, you just don't work for free. Like you can't these days, especially where my goals are trying to lead me in life. Like I just can't do something for free. And while I know that podcasting, and honestly, this is probably going to be the most horrible first season, rough, like trial and error. I've never filmed a professional podcast or attempted a professional podcast before. Like I've always made 50 different YouTube channels that I just gave up on that are cringe and never went anywhere. But it was always because I knew the possibility of the money that you could make out of it if you get it to a successful point. And those are things that inspire me, money aside. Then there's the creative portion of it where you're making something yourself. You're putting it down from piece of paper to on the internet. But there's always going to be doubts where you're like, is this worth it? Is this where I need to be? Is this going to get me somewhere? Because it's not giving me what I need right now, this very moment. Should I just throw it away aside, scratch it, and start something new? I used to do that with every single project I've ever done. That's why I've had literally like 50 different YouTube channels. And I knew if I would have just doubled down on it, stayed consistent, and really try to promote it, if it failed, it just failed. But I can't say it wasn't because I didn't give it enough time to try to give that return back. But I think with NETWORTHY especially, that could be a clothing line that could be the next Pretty Little Thing, but in its own niche where it has a message that's more empowering. I was going to say Fashion Nova because Fashion Nova is a really huge company, but Fashion Nova is more so like stealing items from Shein.
Yeah. I mean, most of them are, almost all those clothing lines are fast fashion.
Most clothing lines, yes.
Like, I don't know. But I see a future.
Like giving up on a project.
I think there's a difference between giving up and knowing when it doesn't make sense to pursue. Like, there's a lot of things I've tried and just given up on too. I mean, maybe not a lot of things. I'm pretty good about finishing what I start, even if it's like years later. But podcast. But I think that, like, I mean, I when you speak about doubt, like I had a fucking mental breakdown before you guys came out for NETWORTHY to shoot all that stuff. Like a serious breakdown of like, I spent, $40,000 getting this clothing line started. I know I won't make the money back. What am I doing? I'm wasting all of my friends' time, having them come up here and shoot all this stuff. Like, what if they don't even like it? What if it's not good enough? All that stuff runs through your head. I've had similar doubts about Sex Work CO where I'm like, am I just wasting like, in the scheme of things, I could just double down on, OnlyFans or sex work and make a bunch of money and not spend it all trying to make something else. I could go on a vacation. I've been on a vacation since 2016, but I want there to be a legacy aspect. I want to leave something behind out of all of my hard work that leaves the world a little bit better than I found it. Like, that's the point, right? So when I think about NETWORTHY, I think that has the ability to make a difference. I think Sex Work CEO has the ability to make a difference and an impact. My original podcast, maybe it made a difference to a few people, but I need to make a difference for more people, which is why the new podcast will do that. But like, there's a time to walk away.
When you told me about the new podcast, I thought at first you were going to have 2 podcasts. You're going to have Seen and Not Heard, and then the new one, because I remember you were like, should Sex Work CEO have a podcast? And they're like, looks like we're launching soon. I was like, okay, man, I should do that then. I was like, I can barely run. You're going to run 2 plus everything else. But then when you explained to me how you were wrapping up your first podcast, it's like, yeah, I mean, for me, it's like a personal, like, oh, it's sad to see it go because it was something that I had really connected with, and it means more to me than it does to you at this point of your life. But the new podcast, it makes more sense to what's currently going on and where you're trying to get your career moved for the future.
Yeah,
so
aligned.
That makes sense. That's just like a line. There we go. I was trying to think of the word. The first podcast, it went to an end, but you didn't give up on it. You finished it. You are almost finishing it. And then that's kind of wrapped up. And now you're on chapter 2 of your podcast, which is under a different name.
Yeah.
I think it's more so when you start a project, and then if it's not giving you what you need immediately, and then you just kind of never come back to it, that's where I think that's kind of like giving up almost. Yeah. Because nothing's going to happen overnight.
Yeah. That's such a misconception, because we live in a time of YouTubers and Twitch streamers and, you know, TikTok fame and all this stuff. But I mean, God, if I could have the income without the celebrity, if those could be separated for our line of work specifically, I would take that all day. Like, if I could go back and do anything differently, maybe I'd be like a no-face model, because I think that's like the best fucking setup in the world.
All the time.
Yeah, like you nailed it. You guys did it right. That's something I missed the boat on. But I don't know. I'm not big on, like, I definitely don't quit things, but I do think that, yeah, you have to know when to walk away. Not necessarily quit, but you're making a business decision, and sometimes pursuing something to seeing it through is going to hinder something else you could be doing that would actually make a bigger impact in your goals. So I don't know. It's a toss up. It's a toss up. You got to know yourself. It's about self-awareness.
Which is true. Because we just had this conversation where we were talking about how with some opportunities that are arising for me fairly quickly and kind of just overnight, it seems like. And then it's just like, when I say my time is money, it's not that I'm trying to be like ignorant or cocky about it, but it's true. It's at this point where if something isn't going to give me the value that I need, then you have to just let it go and move on from it. But it's also too, it's like with my art business, like, you want to talk about a money pit? Sometimes I just look at all these pieces and I feel like, like another project just failed at, just another hobby that didn't make me much money at all. But then it's, if I double down on it and I put in the marketing and the promotion that it needs, then maybe in like a year or 2, it can be, because I mean, it's art. It's something that people buy all the time, and it's custom things. But right now, it ain't making me no money, so I gotta move around to what's paying the bills.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't know. I'm getting to a place now too, and I think it's because I'm getting old. But like, I'm very conscious. I feel it, girl. I'm very conscious now of my happiness. So like, I try to balance like value very equally amongst those 3 categories. So is it worth my time? And that's the equal weight as, does it make me money? And that's the equal weight of, does it bring me happiness? So even if something brings me no money, like NETWORTHY, I still think it's worth my time, because I think it makes a difference. And I think it's something we need as sex workers to feel it's something I identify with, and to feel we have people in our corner and we can unite over something. And I also feel it brings me happiness. It makes me happy to tell someone when they ask me like, oh my God, where'd you get that? I'm like, I made it. This is mine. This is my design. Like, I get joy and fulfillment out of that. So I know it's not time to leave it behind. And I don't really have any intention of leaving it behind. I just want to, I'm working to get to a place with other things so I can double down on it. That's kind of where I'm at. But to say it's never crossed my mind. No, it crosses my mind all the time. Sex Work CEO crosses my mind because sometimes it feels like you're screaming into a void, you know, and like nothing's coming back and you're not bringing any value. And like, I'll feel like that one day, and the next day a sponsor comes along and they want to work with me.
Exactly.
And they're extending their resources to make sure I can get the information to more sex workers. And that's when it's just a moment. And it's like, okay, this is how business works. This is how it goes.
Working.
Yeah.
Like, it's getting there. It's what people don't realize is that you don't see the gap, the dead air. You see this is what I want to do and what I'm trying to do. And then you have what I like to call as the dead air process, where you're scrambling, trying to figure out how to make it work, but you think it's not getting anywhere. And then you start reevaluating if this is even the right industry for you to be in. And then, especially when you get older and as a woman too, if you're going to be in the adult industry, at least for myself, I'm not going to look like this forever. Mm-hmm. Like, I even look at old videos and old pictures and I'm like, girl, like, you are
me too. Aging. I was like, my boobs used to be up there. What happened?
Like, it's different. Like, you ain't gonna want to see me popping this for much longer. I promise you. But then you get to the point where, boom, there it is. Mm-hmm. You made it. There's the finish line. And for me especially, that's like what I've been going through. And it's a little overwhelming because I feel like everything is happening at once. But this is like, literally, I've cried to you many times.
That's my bad.
That's my bad. If I could just please, like, figure out how I could just, like, consistently get this one thing started. And, like, I just really want this. And then it's like, okay, bitch, wipe those tears because boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, back to back, back to back, back to back. And it's like, whoa, okay, this is a lot. But I'm finally at that finish line where I thought it was going nowhere. Like, I literally thought, like, all this work and effort and time that I'm trying to build something up, it's just not working. And then there you go. It happens. And that's the thing about our industry, especially, is that there is no, if you work a 9 to 5 and you do this for 6 months, then you can move up to here. Mm-hmm. And then you do that for 6 months and then you can move up to there. No, it's, you can work for 3 years in this industry, feel like you're going nowhere, and then everything.
Or you can make one TikTok and have it go number 1 on the music charts, and fucking your life is different. Like, shit's crazy.
Listen, I've tried to be viral on social media so many times so I can get just that overnight fame, but it's not as
it isn't. No, but I think with age too, it gives you a lot more perspective. Like, when I first got into the industry at like 20 years old, you know, having people, like, a lot of followers was important to me. Having people think of me as like this established person, or like the micro celebrity kind of chasm, which is so ridiculous to look back on. But now, like, my goal is, like, I have huge goals given, but when I really scale back, when shit's bad, like when OnlyFans, you know, we're gonna go away or whatever, I'm like, okay, well, that pays for me to run all of these other things. So now I have to fucking pivot. I don't want to fire anyone off my team. Like, these are my friends. Like, these are people I fucking care about. Selena's pregnant. Like, these are not options for me.
This is the wrong time for her to be out of a job.
So, like, this is like, I need to find a solution so that I can make sure everyone has their livelihood. Like, this is what it means to be a business person. You need to fucking pivot. Like, this is, you don't get to call yourself a business person anymore unless you can adapt. Now it's time to adapt.
Because now you're dealing with some real business shit where you have to sit there. Because as an employee,
you're not like the one putting out fires.
Or myself, which is a personal assistant, you all you know is I do my job, I get paid. The other behind the CEO, that has nothing to do with me, because that is not my responsibility. So whatever you have to do to figure your shit out, that's fine, as long as I get my check.
Yeah.
Because I'm the employee.
Yep.
And that's when the test of being a real business person comes into play, is if you can make that shift and still be able to take care of your team, and then be able to have those tough discussions with, hey, unfortunately, I'm either going to have to scale back your hours or scale back your pay for right now, and giving them the opportunity to basically try to, if they need to leave, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it's hard.
That's when all
like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, you having a team and you having someone's livelihood in your hands, that is a lot of anxiety and stress, because that means you have no room to fail or make any errors, because if you fail, then someone's not going to be able to have a home potentially the next month.
That's what people overlook. I think, like, when I say my team consists of Julie, who is my best friend from 5th grade. My team consists of my sister-in-law, who is one of my assistants and helps me do my social media graphics and such and upload content to places. And then I have Selena, who's like kind of just is my right-hand human, and she's a best friend. So how do you tell your best friends, or your sister-in-law who just bought a house, your best friend who's pregnant, your best friend who has 3 kids and a husband? Like, how do you tell these people, I'm sorry, I have no more money to pay you? Like, you can't do that. So you adapt and you overcome. Like, the first thing when I heard the OnlyFans news is like, okay, if I sell the Porsche, I can keep the team paid for 3 more months. Okay. So worst case scenario, I sell the Porsche. No big deal. Okay. So what comes after that? What is the next step to make sure I can continue on the trajectory that I want to be continuing on? Okay. So I took up a separate offer with another company that could help me bring in some cash flow and get liquid a little bit. So there's things you can do, but I think making sure that when shit hits the fan as a business owner, as a sex work CEO, you need to know it's your responsibility to find an answer and a solution. Like, that was part of something I found very difficult. And this is probably going to sound bad, but it's very difficult to get into, Twitter spaces and listen to the conversations, or get on webinars and listen to the conversations. But we're like, yeah, it's discrimination. It's the world against us. Yes, that hasn't changed. That is not news. That is the reality of what we live in. The reality is,
since before any of us were even born.
Exactly.
It's just different now because it's on the internet, but it's been like this literally for decades.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, hearing that stuff, it's like, we're saying the same thing over and over. It's this company's fault. It's MasterCard's fault. It's all these things. Yeah, it's partially all of their faults, but we know this. What are we doing about it? What is next? Does anyone have solutions? And like, so I find that hard because I'm that person who's like, how do I fix it? What do I do? How do we overcome it? I'm not someone to focus on, woe is me, or this is a problem. Like, we all have been dealt shitty hands at one time or another. We've all gone through shit. The world is not going to cater to our line of work and lift us up. OnlyFans, that was a blimp on the radar compared to like the Patreon and everyone else that's Tumblr, everything that's fallen off. So I think to take on the responsibility of being a CEO, you have to be cut out for the fact that when it's time, when shit hits the fan, it's your responsibility to figure it out. That's your job as a business owner. And I don't even know how we got here, but I would say too, like, now that I'm older, because I probably wouldn't have felt this way or thought this way had 10 years ago when I first started. But now that I'm older too, I make my happiness a much bigger priority. Like, I signed up this last week for a dance class. Like, I miss dancing. I don't like that. Girl. I can't like learn a TikTok dance to save my life. So I'm like, I'm going to get back into it. Like, I used to hip hop dance. I was captain of my dance team in high school and in college. And like, I was good at it. So like, why can I no longer do this? So
you signed up. You're not using it anymore.
Exactly. If you don't use it, you lose it. And that is some real shit.
You lose it.
But yeah.
Like when you was grooving in Nashville, we're all there. I was like, okay, this white girl is like hitting this better than me. And like, I used to be fucking professional dancer. Like, I need to get my shit together because baby girl, you losing it.
It's true. But yeah, like I wanted to, like, I was talking to my husband about this, and like, I invest so much money in the businesses and the companies and whatever, but I don't invest any money. Like I said, I haven't had a vacation since 2016. The car I drive, although it's nice and everyone thinks it's so expensive, like me and my husband buy hit cars, fix them, and then drive them or sell them. So like we get stuff for pennies on the dollar, and that's even an overstatement. But like the things we have, they're all for the greater good or the long-term goal. None of it's for like my immediate happiness or like sense of self or spiritual, calling. So like,
but you have to make time for that.
Yes.
You can't neglect yourself.
Yes.
And it's easier said than done, because when you are such a businesswoman and you do have so many projects and you are trying to get a lot of things up and running, it's always, you think this is just a small sacrifice right now. Once I get this up and running, then I can be able to go ahead and go on this vacation or do this trip. I used to think the opposite, where I'm like, well, life is too short. I could die fucking tomorrow. I can die in my sleep. I could not wake up. So why would I neglect myself of having that happiness where the business I might want to do could take me 5 years to get to that point? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It's true.
But there's a balance to be able to do both.
Yes.
If you are able to sit there and do that. That's where it comes down to.
It is a balance. Like, I think about, like, okay, I haven't gone anywhere since 2016. So that's been like 5 years of a season of sacrifice. I always talk about that. Like, I'm in a season of sacrifice. I can't go out with you for drinks. I'm in a season of sacrifice. And building a house, shit's expensive. But if there's something as small as a $15 dance class that happens on a Thursday night where I'm not going live somewhere else, I'm going to take it. That's some me time and I need it.
That.
Yeah.
And it's something that you enjoyed doing. It's something that is a part of who you are as a person.
Yes.
So when you start to neglect yourself of things that make you who you are, that's not going to help you mentally to even have the motivation to want to continue to do all of your other businesses or dreams or goals or aspirations. Because then you're just neglecting yourself. Yep. And yes, you think of, well, I have to worry about this person and this person and this person and this person. Well, you can't worry about those if you're not taking care of you first. And that could be, like you said, taking a dance class. Like, okay, it's $15. Cool, so be it. Whatever. You're not making any money off of it. You're not making any content from it where you're like, oh, I can film this. No, it's strictly solely for you and your being. And I'm proud that you're doing that. Because you are very the type of person that you're like, oh, well, right now I'm building a house, but maybe when I'm done building the house, I can go on a trip or like, but I will say this, I don't care what you say or what you doing. You are going to turn up in March for my 30th. I don't care what business goals, aspirations, if the house is
you
still
mean you're going to turn up? Nobody's going down there for your birthday. No, girl. We ain't going. Hell no, we ain't doing it here. No. We either going to Vegas or we going to Cancun. One of those two. Because it don't even matter. Okay, it does matter because it's definitely not going to be where I am because ain't nobody fucking coming here. But aside from where I am, it don't matter where it's going to be because you ain't got no choice. I'll be there. I'll be there.
You got no choice. Like, none. I don't want oh, well, right now I just have sex for CEO and then I have the house. It's like almost finished being bumped. Be like, bitch,
do you think that you'll ever, like, I was thinking about this the other day. Do you think that you'll ever not have a thing? Like, do you think that there's ever like a period where you'll be like retired and do nothing?
No.
Yeah, me either.
Not at all. I'm too much of a person that is always, I can do that. And then I have to go see if I can do that.
Same.
And then I have, like me and Bluebird, we're still very, very close in each other's lives. And he always sits there and gives me a business perspective on how to monetize hobbies and how to try to turn them into a financial, gain. So never, I could be 60 years old and I will still sit there and have some type of hobby. Like it's literally in my blood to always try to do something creative. And it's either live streaming, like having a podcast or having a YouTube channel or doing something with my hands or write. Never. If I do, then I'm zombied out on drugs, probably. Like, it would not be me in my right mind.
I think it sounds beautiful to not work and live a life of hobbies or like things you love doing, but not have to monetize them. Like, I hope I get to a point where I've reached a level of success where I'm not concerned financially and I could just do what my heart wants me to do. My concern is that what my heart will want me to do is business.
Exactly.
I don't know, but it sounds like an amazing experience.
I think if you're making like Jeff Bezos type money or Elon Musk type money, then it's like, yeah, this is just like a little, it's a small, like this is a small business. It's just something that I literally do just for like a once in a time type of opportunity versus when you're not making Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos type of money, anything that you put your time into, you're trying to turn it into so you can make money like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. But I think it's in your DNA to monetize something that you enjoy doing, but I think it would be a different level because it wouldn't be something that you're depending on to make you not successful, but financially at that goal that you're trying to reach, whatever number that may be, because everyone's number is always different.
Yeah.
So that's something to put into perspective too. But I see you 80 years old, still at the car shows, again, with a flying Porsche probably by then. Knowing Elon will figure out.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. No, I don't know.
Man.
We'll see what happens. And I try to, like, when shit gets really hard or I do feel overwhelmed, I try to put in perspective, like, if the only thing I accomplish, like, financially speaking, is building my house completely in cash where it's paid off, then I've won. Like, I'm 30 years old and I own my house, my property outright, and I'm debt free. And I'm going to start, you know, my future and my family from that baseline of, like, financially sound. Then I win. Like, that's enough, I think. It's
so
not
for
what I
you,
want, but that would
knowing
be enough.
that you won is the house. That's when you're like, you can sit there and say, damn, I made it.
That's bare minimum. That's definitely not, damn, I made it. But that's like, I did enough to, like, die happy and feel sound in my soul. But, like, no, is that, like, my ultimate goal?
But you're not satisfied.
No, I'm not satisfied. But I could be content, but I'm not satisfied. I want to make.
I only ask that because I know, like, your upbringing, people might look at you and be like, damn, this bitch is so rich. Like, she's so successful, which you are very successful. And I like to think you're rich. And she low-key sponsors this podcast unofficially because we're always plugging in those brands, but ain't getting a check. No. Just kidding.
So accurate.
But, so fucking accurate. But knowing your upbringing, you weren't fed a silver spoon and had everything handed to you at all, as people are going to assume and think because of just how you look and your success, or how you look to the internet, I should say.
Yeah.
But I know that some people can like, I had this conversation the other day. I was like, wow, I look back to my upbringing and my childhood and to where I am now, and I sit here and I think, fuck, like, damn, bitch, you made it. But then I'm like, I'm nowhere near where I think making it truly is. But from where I came from, technically,
this is making it.
Like, I'm no longer poor. Like, I can no longer keep saying, oh, I'm poor, because I'm not poor anymore at all. Just financially, I'm just not in that at all. Low middle class, very low middle class, but not poor. But it's like that mindset of what makes you think, like, yeah, I made it. Like, yeah, for me, oh yeah, I made it. But then realistically, I'm like, no, I didn't make it. So with your home, you're like, yeah, you know, and to do it in cash.
Yeah, that's the thing. And
to have the land, and to do it with your own bare hands on top of it is like, ain't nobody doing all that. I love building. I love DIY. I love, like, building furniture, but bitch, you ain't catching me building my dream 3,000 square feet?
It's like 55. Yeah.
Fine.
It's a big old hole in the ground right now, but no, that's like, that's definitely, like, for a time we didn't have a home. Like, we were homeless for a short time. We had our home foreclosed on another separate occasion. I used to stay up late with my mom with her chain smoking while we made sure our car didn't get repoed. Like, that's my upbringing. Right. So for me, I think that's where, if I know I have the home, it's paid for in cash, no one can take it from me. That means my family always has somewhere to go. And that, for me, is something that would be enough. It's not what I
Yes.
want, but it would be enough.
Yes, I can see that. I see a lot of myself in you because we have a lot of similar upbringings and a lot of the same kind of goals and desires as to being women in this industry and trying to build a career out of it versus it being
kind of like what pays your bills. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like a job, I guess, just over broke job type of situation. But it's nice to know that your way of knowing you made it isn't necessarily based off of luxury or materialistic things. And someone can say a house is materialistic, but for us, coming from where we came from, a house is stability.
It's peace of mind. Yeah.
Exactly, where you don't have to worry about being homeless or someone increasing the rent and now you can no longer afford to pay for it, or someone going through the trauma of people getting shot and murdered in your apartment. Like, there's a lot. So it's just nice to hear and see you working towards that. I know it's definitely not easy, even though you make everything in your life look so seamless and so easy to do.
Social media does that. It's not real.
And then I forget too, it's probably Selena posting, making you look consistent all day too.
Sure is.
I'm like, damn, bitch, how you posting? Like, I'm trying to stay. I'm like, oh, it's Selena.
Yeah.
It's not her.
It is. I've been on calls back to back for 7 hours. I have no life to be on social.
It's Selena.
Selena.
I can always tell when you're responding to me and when it's Selena responding to me. And I'm like, oh, look at Selena right now working.
Getting her hustle on.
Yes. But no, but like, I think those type of things are something that should be acknowledged and, I guess praise you for, because yes, everyone's going to sit there and praise you for the limelight and you winning awards through companies and you starting your businesses. But I think the true accomplishments, not to take away from any of that, because that is definitely hard work and great too, but it's just it's going from being that poor, broke kid to being a woman who is really kind of breaking that generational curse and making it where your family has somewhere to know that they have somewhere to call home or to go to forever. And that is not as easy as people may think it is when you come from a background of not having the privilege or the handouts to do it. Because it's really easy to fall out of that goal driven. And then you start seeing money. Maybe I don't want to be responsible and try to buy a home. I want to I want to go out and spend $200 at a restaurant because I've never been able to do that before. I can never afford to do that. I want to go and, I don't know, buy a Louis Vuitton purse because I never in my life thought I would ever own a Louis Vuitton purse. Just the smallest
I've had those
like
moments.
That, you know?
Like, actually, when I moved to Tennessee, so with the house me and my now husband we're living in Illinois was like one of those like upper middle class, like subdivision, like over 2,000 square feet, little pop up, on a cul-de-sac kind of homes. It was really nice. It was the nicest thing I'd ever lived in. And then when we moved to Tennessee, like we sold all our stuff. We had just gotten married too, which was expensive. So we sold all our stuff. We sold my Mercedes. We sold my Mercedes to put in a water well so we could have water to our double wide trailer. So like when people, like most of the industry people that were exposed to me as like MelRose Michaels and with my brand, you've seen me from like 2019 to 2020 and all of the content too that my fans have watched. Like that was filmed in a double wide trailer. Like that's where I was in my season of sacrifice, saving money to be able to start building a home with cash. Like, I think that social media paints such a pretty picture of what's going on. And I don't ever want to help facilitate, like, you have to do it for your fans and this is how you generate traffic. But the reality, but the reality is there's a lot going on behind the scenes that people don't know. And I had that exact moment where I have a Louis Vuitton bag, only one. I definitely don't own shoes because I'm not about to walk on that kind of money. But I had one bag to like I made it bag, And I was crying to my husband, I'm like, I shouldn't have this bag because I don't have the $3,000 to put inside of it that this bag cost me. And until I have the money that should be inside this bag, I shouldn't have this bag. So after that, we sold all of our nice things, Mercedes, all the things. And we started small. I didn't get my nails done. I didn't get eyelash extensions. I was doing it myself. I downgraded my whole life so that I could get back to baseline and save the money for the bigger picture. And now fast forward, we're halfway there and we're living a lot more comfortable now and what have you. But it's not lost on me. Like, I'm not going to run out and buy a Louis Vuitton bag. One, because I don't need it. But two, because I'm still not in a place that's that comfortable that I would walk around with $3,000 in my bag. I never do that anyway. But you get the point. Like,
right.
it's just,
I get it. Yeah.
The what's important becomes very clear.
Because there's a lot of people that have expensive bags, but ain't got no money in it at all.
Yep.
Like,
or nothing in their bank
accounts. Yes. So it's because there's been times, especially in the industry, where you feel like you almost have to live that lifestyle because that's kind of the image that is portrayed to persuade more people to join it. Because there is that side of the industry. I'm not going to
There's glamour
that it doesn't exist. There is glamour, but I wouldn't say that is the majority of every creator in the industry's lifestyle. That's like the 1%. It's like the Beyoncés and the Jay-Z's. Like, not everyone's going to be walking around like Bay and Jay. But like, I could technically, I could go get a purse, but what am I going to do? Have a maxed out Amex card in there?
And then
like,
go where? Like, where we live? Where are we going to go? I have an Amex
card though. Like, and I got one of the good Amex cards. Like, all my credit cards are like the top of the line. That don't mean though that I'm balling. That don't mean I can look like I'm successful. Doesn't mean that I am. And then you can be the complete opposite, where you look like you don't make no money and you be the one to sit there and can buy out the whole entire property. Like, it just goes both ways. But there's nothing wrong with treating yourself either. I don't want that image to be put out there. You can definitely treat and take care of yourself, but it's about knowing what is important and what isn't important when you go from a background like ours of poverty to a place where you could buy that stuff. Doesn't necessarily mean that you should, but that you could. That's where the little line comes in. So
I agree.
It's always nice, especially of your caliber. Your mindset is grounded versus a lot of people that are on your caliber. They are more on, like, let me not say, from what I've seen, are on the glamorous side more so. And then you're on the opposite spectrum. And it's just like a breath of fresh air to see someone that is like, oh, okay, they're living like a normal lifestyle. They're like, you promote your car. You should. Hell yeah, you work hard for that shit. Show it off. But it's not like overly glamorized where you think, oh, they making that money. Hell yeah, let me sign up type of thing. If my thoughts are making sense.
It is. It's funny because, like, I think the biggest compliment I ever got was from Saint. And he's like, Mel, you're really simple. Like, you're a simple girl.
Are.
Like, I've had a lot of nice things in my life. I've also lost a lot of nice things. Like, when I first came up in the webcam space, like, I was a top 20 model. I was making more money than I ever thought I would make in my life. And, everyone was getting iPads for Christmas and I was spending it. I wasn't saving it. I wasn't saving for taxes. So I know what it's like to make a lot of money and then to have webcam stop paying you like that. Like, then you're starting back at zero and I had nothing to show for it. So, like, I've kind of done the Phoenix from the ashes things. I have lost it all. I had to start over, but I'm smarter for it now. And I've done things more properly now so that I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you live and you learn. That's kind of the way it goes.
Very true. Very, very true. Well, nonetheless, I'm proud of you
Thank
of everything
you.
that you're doing. And I keep saying it because, swear to God, you make me even feel like, oh shit, she doing it. Let me add this. And you are very persuading at making someone feel like they can do something. Like, even with our last meeting earlier this week, where I really was like, I went in that night and I started writing everything down. I'm like, okay, like, bitch, I think you can do both. Like you can. Like, okay, just work it like this. And then I'm like, fucking Mel, always making someone think that they're super.
I should be a motivational, like, speaker.
No, seriously, because the way that you can not convince, it's like you bring out what the person already has within themselves, and you just remind them of what it is that they have and what they can offer. But you also push them to go beyond what what they think they're capable of doing. Because honestly, I probably would have been like, nah, there's just like, I probably wouldn't even think to try to make them both work, because I'm afraid that I might fail in one. And I'm a person that does not like to fail, especially when someone put their name out for me. Mm-hmm. That gives me more anxiety, because now I can't make this person look bad because they
That's
put
what I'm
their
counting
neck
on.
out.
That's why I keep throwing your name out there.
So you want me to fail?
I know you won't fail me, because it's I put it on my reputation. That's why I'm like, I got a girl. I got a girl for that.
I'm like, bitch. Like, stop putting my name out there. What if I fuck it up? It's gonna look bad on you. At least if I put my own neck out there, then I'm just fucking up my own name. But now I'm fucking up my name and your name.
I have faith. I know you're not gonna fuck. I think people notoriously sell themselves short. I'm probably the opposite, just because I have an insane amount of belief in myself most of the time, because my mom told me I could do everything, and I believed her growing up. But whenever I see someone feeling like they can't accomplish more, or that they don't have the time, it's usually a time management thing. It's like, you can find the time if you really want to do it. So just, if you really want to do it, I think it's possible. But I'm also someone who takes on way too many things at once. So.
Yeah, and I'm finding myself to be like a little mini you, where
oh God,
like next thing you know, I'm gonna announce, hey guys, I have my own clothing line.
Get a girl.
No, I could never. If I'm gonna have a clothing line, I need to be the one that's designing the items, like with like sketching it out with my bare hands, sewing it. Like, you know me. If I do a project, I have to do it like, it has to come out looking like a professional production team with like millions of dollars behind. Unfortunately, that's how a lot of businesses are coming out these days. It's no longer coming out where it looks kind of rough and choppy in the beginning, and then you kind of grow and you see the growth. Things are coming out
polished,
professional as fuck, polished. Like, it's a lot of pressure to try to match up to that. And me already being a perfectionist and wanting something to look perfect, and then trying to feel like I have to go rent like a $5,000 a month studio for myself for no one to listen. But I would be the one to do it.
Yeah, I'm bad about wanting it to be such high quality and high production value that it's hindered me from not even pursuing
doing
things.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why I was telling you with the pod. I'm like, just do it anyway. Just do it anyway. You'll be glad you did. Just do it anyway.
I mean, I will say I do enjoy, like, I love, as you know, I love fucking talking. I can talk all day, every day, someone's ear off. And it's just something I've always wanted to do. So I was like, why not just do it? But I always put it off because I'm like, I don't have the studio. The vision that I see when I think of my podcast, the studio is not here right now, like the vibe of it, but you just have to start. And when you start, it will flourish into something bigger. Well, that's the plan anyway. So
it will. It has to start small.
Start small, like a newborn baby, and then it will blossom into a grown adult.
That's right.
Who is 30 and like. Well, before we wrap things up, I'd like to ask everyone kind of what they're currently listening to music-wise, and like what's on your go-to playlist.
Right now, I'm obsessed with a few songs. Let me actually pull them up so that I get it right. So, Flowers and Sex, which I found on TikTok. Love that song. And then also, I just found this one. It is called 20 Energy, and I think you'd really like it, actually.
That's the name of the song, 20 Energy?
Yeah, it's called 20-something Energy or 20 Energy. Hold up, let me pull it up. It is called... I'm going to send you a screenshot of it, too. 20 Energy by Omar the Seraph. I might be messing that up.
Okay.
There it is.
Girl, I can't afford that.
20 energy.
I gonna hit me with like, hey, run me a check. I heard my song on your pod. I'll be like, did you not hear me just say that nobody can listen? What makes you think I'm gonna be able to pay for that track?
But yeah, those are the ones right now. Flowers and Sex and 20 Energy on repeat.
Perfect. All right. Well, I will have those 2 songs listed on the Spotify playlist as well. Every week there's a new song or 2 added. Just like a curated playlist. I love music, so I love stealing other people's vibes.
I like that.
Never know
I like that.
But I'm so sorry. I kept playing with my hair this whole time, but girl, this ponytail is so goddamn tight. I felt like my head was going to explode.
I was wondering, I'm like, we always talk for a super long time, so I'm like, girl.
I know. That's why I was keeping track of the time. I was like, listen, all right, now I will lose. We have gone an hour or so. Like, let me keep track.
That's funny.
This will be a Joe Rogan experience podcast. It low key kind of is that. And I remember, Joe, I love you because of Fear Factor. But I was like, this motherfucker's podcast is too long. Who the fuck is going to listen to 3+
the whole
hours?
world?
Literally. And then I was like, I would never. My podcast is going to be like 45 minutes to an hour max. And then literally all of them have been over.
Well, it's hard not to.
Yeah. It is. It's very. And where can everyone find you?
So I'm MelRose Michaels on Twitter and Instagram. Instagram is verified. And then on TikTok, it's MelRose_Michaels. And everything else you can find at melrosemichaels.com.
Perfect. And I'll have everything linked in below. And as y'all heard her, she verified on Instagram. So you know she's somebody to be verified. Okay?
I'm nobody.
Girl, don't let her fool you, okay? She got imposter syndrome for real.
Accurate.
Well, as always, and also too, you can find her merch line at shopnetworthy.com. And then you can find Sexwork CEO at swceo.com.
Sexworkceo.com.
Sexwork. Yes, sorry.
Spelled out.
It's sexworkceo.com.
That's right.
And that'll take you everywhere there. And you might see me on both platforms, just saying. Might be, like I said, unofficial sponsor. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I love you. I care about you. And now I need someone to go sponsor me to go to Exotica, New Jersey in like 2 months.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you for having me. I love you as well. Hopefully one day I can be an actual official sponsor. But until then, I'll just have to
until then it's unofficial.
Yeah, I'm gonna just keep providing opportunities and making you busy.
I'll keep the invoice tab going. Don't worry. I'll have it calculated.
Running tab.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of Chaotic Madness, and we'll see you guys all next week. Toodles!